everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am going to be filming my September reads and also showing you all of the other books that I am currently reading and hope to finish as soon as possible. I am currently on a book buying ban until I finish reading all the books that I just purchased last time and all the books that I am currently reading. There's some books that I really want to read, and so I really need to finish my current ones so I can get to them. The first book that I read in September was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I gave this book 5 stars. It is freaking amazing. I am in love with the world building. At first, I honestly didn't really understand what the book was about. In the first couple chapters, I was kind of shocked how the story started, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the switch from like Fae to modern world. I didn't enjoy that too much, but after a few chapters, there was a really traumatic one for the main character, and after reading that, I could not put this book down. I consumed it within probably a week, which is fast for me, and I just love the writing style. I love the world building, the different places, the different characters. I'm a massive fan of maps, so I really enjoyed the maps in this book. I also love the poems and the pretty like decorations and drawings that are inside. It just made it a very magical read, and I can't wait to read The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing. I will hopefully be getting them soon after I finish reading the books that I'm reading at the moment and the ones that I purchased in my last haul. So I'm just so excited for that. I'm so excited to see what happens to all of the characters, and some of them are grey characters. They're not just black or white, and I find that really interesting. The amount of imagery that is in the writing, it's not too flowery, but it's not boring either. It's like the perfect amount. I really felt drawn into this world, and I'm so excited to read the rest of the series. The second book that I read in September was Gild by Raven Kennedy. I read this in the park. It only took me probably 5 hours in total to read. I was really excited for this book. Lots of people have been talking about it recently, but it was literally so bad. One of the worst books I've ever read. I gave it 1 star. Just the plot, I can't even tell you what even happened in the book. It did not make sense. There were so many character contradictories that was so frustrating. The first half of the book was about Midas loving this main character who's made of gold. I can't even remember her name because I don't even care about her. And he spent the whole first half of the book being obsessed with her because she's made of gold. And then she got bruised and beaten, and the gold was ruined, and he didn't even care. That just made no sense to me. And then there's a lot of creepy things that happen without any trigger warnings. It's really messed up stuff involving ages of characters, and the main character, she seems to escape absolutely everything bad. Everyone else around her, bad things happen, but not to her somehow, even though she's Midas's gold prize that he created, his absolute treasure, and yet she remains untouched and escapes situations, bad situations, just non-stop throughout the whole book. And she also bonds with other characters in 2 minutes, and there's no character development. I didn't even care about Midas. I didn't even care about, there was a character who died and I didn't even care. It just, very bad writing. I thought it was supposed to be a real steamy book, but it pretty much was just about bashing up women and stuff. It just was very bad, and I do not recommend it to anyone. I'm not gonna probably read the other 3 books. A lot of people say that Gild was an epilogue and that it's bad and the other 3 are good, but I don't think I'm gonna bother because it was just such a letdown, and I don't even understand how it's such a popular book. The third book I read in September was The Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood. Now, this book I gave 3 stars. It was an average read. It did take me a very, very long time. I think it probably took me like over 2 weeks to read this book, and as you can see, it's very short. It's only like 200 pages long. It was, I think, just because the way the story was written, it's not really my kind of vibe. I did like a lot of the theatrics and poetry that was in the book, and it was really interesting to see like Penelope's story from her side, because every other book that I've read so far has only mentioned Penelope. So in that sense, it was really great to get more of an understanding of her character and what happened to her. But it was just a bit strange the way it was written. It was sort of like an autobiography in chapters, and it just wasn't very engaging. And at the end, it had some weird out of place chapter that like came to the modern world and modern times, and I really did not enjoy that. So I did just give it a 3 stars. Average read. If you like poetry and like Greek theatrics, then I recommend. Otherwise, yeah, just pretty average. The last book that I read in September and that I just finished is Elektra by Jennifer Saint. I haven't done my Goodreads review yet, but I'm giving this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Not only is the cover really pretty, but I enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed Ariadne. I wasn't sure about what this one was actually about, but I really enjoyed the 3 different viewpoints. I really enjoyed that their stories intertwined somehow. It worked really well for the way that the novel was formatted. I thought it was really interesting that the characters weren't black and white, they're grey, and I loved seeing like their inner dialogue and how they questioned their own actions, and sort of understanding how each of the 3 characters became who they are. It was really interesting going through such a long time period and seeing how everything played out. It is another Troy retelling. I've read quite a few of those over the last year, and this one has to be one of my favorites. And yeah, so I definitely recommend this one if you are into Greek mythology or Greek retellings. It is very interesting. Now I am just going to talk about the books that I am currently reading that I would like to get finished as soon as I can, so that I can buy some more books that I'm really looking forward to. The first one I'm reading, I don't actually have the physical copy with me, it's at work. It is 𝘏𝘮𝘯𝘏𝘏 Leveraging the Emotional Ingredients Necessary for Business Success by Gary Vaynerchuck. So this one, it's been on my current reads for a long time, probably the entire year. I don't know if I'm enjoying it that much. I feel like once I give it more of a chance and get into it, it'll be really valuable. But I feel like a lot of what he's saying I kind of know or agree with anyway. So I haven't gotten much from it yet, but it is something that I would like to finish reading. I am currently reading 2 books on my Kindle. I'm reading Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I'm not entirely sure how I'm enjoying it so far. I've only read like 6 chapters. I think the world building is overwhelming me. I'm a massive fan of world building and I do my own, but it's a lot to take in, all the different names, and it sort of feels like the names are just randomly generated and there's no process in that. So I'm trying to overlook that because I'm just really struggling to follow the world and how things work. But I'm sure once I get into it a bit more, I'm going to enjoy it. Everyone says wonderful things about his writing, so I am keen to persevere with that one. I'm also reading The Mountain Is You. I'm only a few chapters into that one. I kept seeing it on TikTok and Pinterest, and it got me into the self-development frame of mind, so I am keen to keep going with that one as well. The next book that I'm currently reading is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I have read this probably about 10 years ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. I actually found it easier to read than The Lord of the Rings itself. I do really love world building. I love For some reason, I love like fantasy history books. So I really enjoyed seeing how the world was shaped and like all of that vast history. The amount of detail that's in Tolkien's worlds is just incomprehensible. It blows me away. It's so thought out. He's put so much effort into it. He's created his own entire world and languages and history, and it inspires me like every day. So I did start reading this probably like 8 weeks ago, and I got a little further than this. I have been listening to the audiobook with my boyfriend when we are in the car, going on car trips. And so yesterday we got up to the Quenta Silmarillion. So we are in the very beginning of the book. The audiobook's a bit slow, so it's probably 2 hours into the audiobook, but it's like not very far in the actual book. But it's really interesting getting my boyfriend to learn about the history as well, because we are watching The Rings of Power on Amazon, and we aren't the biggest fans. I just realized most of these books are Tolkien's books. So I am currently reading The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. If you've seen my other videos, I did do a Hobbit Day video, and I started rereading this. I am almost halfway done. Most of it though, I've been just listening to the audiobook while I've been cooking. For some reason, this time, I've read this quite a few times, but I'm finding it a bit more difficult this time, and I'm enjoying the audiobook side of it, which is really strange because I don't like audiobooks. So it's a dramatized version that I'm listening to. It's pretty entertaining. I feel like it's taking a long while, but like I said, I'm enjoying it. It's a good, hearty story. I love Tolkien's world building, as I said before. Another book that I am halfway through reading is The Nature of Middle-earth, again by J.R.R. Tolkien. So this one, I believe, was published or edited by Carl F. Hostetter. Hope that's how you pronounce it. I haven't picked this one up in a while, but like I said, I'm halfway through. This is another book that kind of goes into Tolkien's world building, which I absolutely love, so I am enjoying it. It talks about, it sort of like goes into more detail about like the 𝘔𝘮 and all the elves, 𝘞𝘮𝘯𝘥, ages and time, the beauty of the elves and how they age, and it sort of clears up a few things and like goes into how the world works and how things happen and work and that sort of thing. I'm not too sure what the rest of the book really entails, but I'm like really keen to get into this because The Fall of 𝘞𝘮𝘯 comes out soon, and I still haven't read The Fall of Gondolin, and I've had that for like a year and a half. So I need to finish The Fall of Gondolin, I need to finish the Silmarillion, and I need to finish, yeah, and this one, so that I can read The Fall of 𝘞𝘮𝘯 when it comes out. So yeah. So those are all the books that I'm currently reading. I do have one more that I want to show you just because in the past couple of days I'm not going to reread the whole thing, but I have started rereading sections of it. So this is A World of Ice and Fire by George Martin. This is one of my favorite all-time books because, again, it's a world-building book, so it's sort of like similar to the Silmarillion, but it's a lot more interactive with maps and history and family trees and things like that. I think I'm up to reading about Aegon II, and that's because of House of the Dragon. The show is very, very good. I personally didn't like episodes 1 to 5 as much as I enjoyed episode 6. Episode 7 comes out soon. I'm just so excited because the world feels a lot more like Game of Thrones now that everyone's grown up. It's really into the drama, which is why I love it so much, and the world building. Everything feels alive again, whereas I feel like episode 1 to 5 lacked that a lot. I hadn't read Game of Thrones when the first 3 seasons came out, but by season 4 I had read the entire series, and it was just so fun watching the TV series after reading the books and comparing them and seeing what the showrunners changed and the different character dynamics that they created and story arcs that they changed. I don't agree with all of them, but it's still really interesting. So I am hoping to read some more of this before I keep watching House of the Dragon. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and let me know below what your favourite September read was. I would love to know.